Congratulations! Woo! Alright, so welcome to your 25th video, I believe, in Database Organization and Normalization series. This is the final video, and basically what I'll be doing is just going over what we learned, and I will also be telling you where you want to go from here. So if you don't remember, I talked about what a database is, common like rows, columns, and other common terms when it comes to databases. Then I also went over some more advanced terms that you don't hear as often. You'll still hear them, but not as much. You still want to know them though. Then I also talked about, after that, I went on to relationships. There was one-to-one, one-to-many, and many-to-many. And then I also talked to you about intermediary tables and many-to-many relationship problems when it comes to databases. I told you how to fix those. I also showed you how to properly design many-to-many relationships and also the other relationships on a entity relationship diagram, aka ERD. And then after that I went on to normalization. If you forget what that is, then you kind of missed a big section of this, but I'll tell you again. It's reducing redundant data by creating new tables to store information in a better way. That includes getting rid of many-to-many relationships by creating an intermediary table, and so on like that, making things atomic. Right, so after that, I had a big paper, I don't think it's around here anymore, with like a bunch of crap that you'll never need to store in a database. I'm just kidding, but it was pretty random. But we had some student information and other stuff you might need for a college, and that's for one specific college. And then what you could have done was have a table for colleges and connect everything to that, so you could store multiple colleges' information in one database. But I didn't really like that idea because I figure two colleges wouldn't be that close. I figure they would separate their information. So that's why I went about that, going that way. And then what I did is I showed you program on the computer to make ERDs, entity relationship diagrams, and then also how to make primary keys. Oh yeah, I also talked about primary keys and foreign keys. I told you how to make primary keys, foreign keys, and I talked about ints and varchar. That's how you want to pronounce it. It's up to you. And then I talked how to connect it and how the designs worked, and then what the relationships looked like on there. And I told you how to properly design that database that we started with. So, I mean, I hope that was helpful. Maybe that snapped it all in your brain and realized you learned a ton. The very next thing I would recommend you do is program your database. If you don't know what I mean by that, I basically just mean actually allowing you, make it so you can put information into the database. Rather than just the columns, you actually insert the rows. So like Caleb Curry for the name. And that would be made with like MySQL, for example, a structured query language, SQL. That will allow you to program the database to be able to put more information in there and actually store your data. And I may be doing a series over this in the future, so be sure to check in the description down there or wherever they end up putting it in a few years, and see if there's a link to another series or another video, and I'll teach you how to do that maybe. And then also, you can also find it online. Just look up SQL or MySQL recommended by me and lots of others. So when you go to program it, you want to use what I would recommend, and so would many others, is, as I said, MySQL and also PHP MyAdmin. That basically just puts everything more graphical and easier to see, but I mean, you can still control everything. Nothing is limited because you can still use code, and I actually prefer to use code, so that's what I would recommend. MySQL and PHP MyAdmin. If you want to make like an extremely custom graphical interface, then I would recommend, you need a server-side scripting language. And if you don't know what that is, basically when you have a server and then a person on the internet connecting to a website, it goes to a server. And then the language would be, all of it would be stored on the server, whereas like the website layout, that's on the client side. I know that's just completely off topic, but basic information. So a server-side scripting language would be like PHP. A client side would be JavaScript. So if you want to write to databases, you need a server side, such as PHP, which is probably the best, so go with that. and you need this because the database is also server-side. Okay, so now that you're done, I would just recommend going on YouTube, searching some other things up that you want to learn. Whatever you do, just do it. Don't just think about doing it. If you want to program a sweet database or make a website, go about doing it. Don't just think about it, because that's the biggest problem I have, especially. I'll be like, that's a really good idea, and then I never do it. So that's what my advice is for you. Do it. And then be sure to subscribe and like my videos and leave me some comments. I mean, I really do appreciate it, and I hope you guys know that. So please give me some suggestions and tell me what I can improve upon. And I promise I will read and appreciate everything you tell me. Thank you. And I'll see you next time. That's when I walk off and the video stops randomly. Database models, also known as EERs and ER, oh my gosh, I failed. ERD.